Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing the Ford F-150 buyer's guide. Now, I put in the title of the video, this is 2018 to 2020, but a lot of this is also going to apply to 2015 and up because they kind of basically did some things in 2015 where they did the whole redesign, and then in 2018 they did a little bit of a refresh, and so there's some things that basically carry over from the 15 to 17 into the 18 to 20s, so hopefully that makes sense. But anyways, let's just get into the video. And I don't have everything memorized in terms of the power figures on every single engine that the F-150 offers, because they literally offer a million. So I have some notes here for me, so just bear with me, guys. Obviously, the main engine option that you hear about all the time is the 3.5 liter EcoBoost in the standard edition. Now, in terms of power outputs, it's 375 horsepower and then 470 foot-pounds of torque, twin turbo V6, 3.5 liter. That's paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission. Now, the next one is the 3-liter diesel. They call it like the little power stroke, basically. In terms of power, it's 250 horsepower and then 440 foot-pounds of torque. And again, that one is also paired with the 10-speed automatic. Now, the next one is what my Raptor has, and that is the high-output 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6. Now it's 450 horsepower and then 510 foot-pounds of torque, and again, 10-speed automatic. The next one is the 2.7 liter EcoBoost. That one puts out 325 horsepower and then 400 foot-pounds of torque, which, I mean, I think that's awesome. And again, 10-speed automatic with that truck, or not truck, engine, sorry. The next one is the 5-liter V8, and this one puts out 395 horsepower and 400 foot-pounds of torque, which is identical to what Ram has with their 5.7 Hemi. Well, the 5.7 Hemi has 410 foot-pounds of torque, so you're pretty much the same. And then this one, again, 10-speed automatic transmission. Now, the next one is an engine that I actually never heard of before, and I've never driven it, so I couldn't tell you as much about this one, but it's a 3.3 liter V6, 290 horsepower and then 265 foot-pounds of torque. So I'm guessing that one is naturally aspirated, and it's with a 6-speed automatic. So I'm assuming that's naturally aspirated and is with their older automatic transmission, but that is the engine options with the F-150. Now, in terms of what I recommend, obviously, if you get a Raptor or an F-150 Limited, you have to get the 3.5 high output. That's the only engine that's offered with them. I absolutely love it. Great power delivery. Fuel economy is questionable, but power delivery is great for it. The regular 3.5, I think that's probably the best engine offering, just because it has great power delivery, good fuel economy, good towing capacity. Reliability on it was an issue initially, but they've fixed most of the kinks. There are still some issues. But again, it's a great offering. The second runner-up for me really would be the 5.0, and it's just because it's a V8. It's naturally aspirated. I know it has some of its little quirks. It's has had some issues, but for the most part, it's actually really reliable. So that would be my second pick, and then I would pick for my third pick would be the 2.7, and then the diesel, and then I guess that 3.3 would be like my last pick. With this 3.5, obviously I picked the Raptor, and I love the engine. It's just that if I was buying a regular F-150, if this was somehow offered, I would actually get the regular one just because of long-term reliability if I was planning on keeping the truck for a really long time. Now, let's get into the different trim packages. And what I mean by trim packages is basically just the interior trim, and obviously it changes some stuff with the exterior. So, like, what's the difference between an XL and a Platinum? So let's get into that. Let's quickly go over just each of the trim packages. So the first one you're gonna have is the XL. That's like your entry-level base model work truck, and it's not going to come with a whole lot. You still have to stick the key fob in with that truck. You're going to get halogen lights. It's basically just going to have like the worst radio, really scratchy cloth seats in it as well. But yeah, just overall, that's like the base model truck. Now, there is an STX package, which all that really does is just make the truck look sportier. It adds like body colored bumpers, a different grille, but it's still like a base model interior package. It just looks cooler. So that's like your work truck. The next one is going to be XLT. Now that one is going to compete with Ram's Bighorn, for example, and that's like your upgraded, like fully loaded cloth interior. You can get it with leather seats, but most of them will have cloth. You can get like the nicer infotainment system with that, and it'll come with a little bit more on the exterior in terms of just appearance. It looks a little bit nicer. And the other thing is the seats themselves are nicer as well. And then you can get like power seats with it, and you can get remote start, which actually you can get remote start on the STX on top of that. But the XLT can also get remote start. So just a little bit nicer in terms of creature comforts. The next one is the Lariat, and that one is your entry-level leather package. So that's going to come with stuff like heated seats, cooled seats as standard, heated steering wheel. You'll have the bigger touchscreen again. And with the Lariat, you'll get stuff like power seat. You'll get remote start as standard. You'll get nice LED headlights. And it's just kind of the Lariat. The best way to look at that is, again, your entry-level luxury package. You get all the luxury features, but the leather isn't going to be nice real leather, which will be in the Platinum, which, again, we'll talk about that in a minute. But you can get cool features like a sunroof. You can get the 3.5 EcoBoost, which, again, you can get that across the board. But most Lariats are going to have that engine in them. And so, again, Lariat, entry-level luxury. The next one is going to be the King Ranch. This is your upgraded Lariat, is the best way to look at it, with a Western theme. So you get nicer seats, and you get all the same stuff that you get in a Lariat, just a Western theme. So they're going to have like a brown interior. It's going to look a little bit more Western themed on the exterior as well, with kind of like unique styling points on it. And that's really what the King Ranch is. The next one is the Platinum. And the Platinum is like, again, upgraded Lariat. So you get all the same features as you get in the Lariat, but you get nicer seats, nicer materials on the dash. The exterior appearance, it looks a little bit different from a Lariat, not a huge amount, but it does look a little bit different from a Lariat. And so again, the Platinum is kind of like your upgraded luxury in the Lariat. So same features, just nicer on the interior with the truck itself. And then we have the Range Topping Limited, which that is going to be like your fully loaded luxury truck. All the luxury features, most of the stuff is going to be standard equipment on that truck. Really nice seats, really nice interior materials. This one's going to compete with like Rams Limited, for example. And you are going to have a little bit with unique styling on the exterior. It kind of, I mean, it's kind of, when you see it from like the side, you almost can't tell it's a Limited. When you look at the front, you can tell, but it's not like crazy different from like a Lariat or a Platinum. The thing to mention is it does come with the same engine that is in the Raptor. It's the 3.5 high output EcoBoost, so 450 horsepower, 510 foot-pounds of torque. And that's the only engine. It doesn't tow as well as like a Platinum or a Lariat. So if you're getting the truck for towing, you probably don't want to get the Limited. And if you're wondering about the Raptor, I'm going to make a dedicated buyer's guide on one because I own one, and so I think that it should just get its own video. Let's get into each package and what I would get with each package, starting with the XL. If I was getting the XL, I would assume that I'm just using it as a work truck. Since it's a basic work truck, I wouldn't add a ton of options to it. In terms of the engine, if I needed to tow with it, I'd get the 5.0 or the 3.5. If I wasn't going to tow with it, I'd get the 2.7 just to use it as a runaround truck. But again, I would keep it as basic as possible because assuming, you know, just most XL customers, it's probably a work truck. The next would be the STX. That's just the XL basically with sportier looks. I would get a few more creature comforts on that just because I would be getting the STX to have a cool truck that I'm just getting for personal use. So again, I might add stuff like remote start, for example. Now, moving up to the XLT, if I was getting the XLT, I would get that new black appearance package. I just think it looks really cool. And again, I have a preference towards the 3.5. So like I said, that's just the engine that I'd recommend across the line, especially if I was just using for towing or just day-to-day use. The 2.7 if I wanted to get better fuel economy and didn't need the power. Other interior options, I get remote start with it. I get heated seats. I just get it a little bit nicer if I was getting the XLT. Moving up to the Lariat, again, I get that black appearance package. I probably would treat myself a little bit, get the carbon fiber on the side because I think it looks cool. Panoramic sunroof, again, just a nice little option that I prefer. I would get the little tailgate step on the Lariat. Probably on pretty much any package I'd get that tailgate step because I actually really like that option now, having it personally. And then moving up from the Lariat. If I was going to get the King Ranch, I would get power running boards if it's available either aftermarket or just with the truck itself. And other than that, I really wouldn't change a whole lot. I would just keep it how it is, maybe get a panoramic sunroof if I wanted that option, and that's it. Same thing with the Platinum. I really wouldn't get a whole lot in terms of options on the Platinum, and I would just pretty much keep it how it is. And going up to the range topping limited, same thing. It just comes with so much stuff standard equipment wise that I really wouldn't feel like I needed to add a whole lot of options to it. And I would just keep it simple with just all those upgraded packages, just because they come with so much already from the factory. Now in this next part, I just want to talk about options to look out for with the truck. First off is going to be the moonroof. If you want more light in the cabin, if you actually are going to use it on a regular basis, I recommend getting a moonroof. I like it. It helps with filming, actually, just letting more light into the truck. Other options, the bed step, I definitely think it's worth it. I've used it quite a few times. I didn't think I was ever going to use it. I mean, I'm 22 years old, and so I'm like, oh, I'm just going to jump into the bed. But I found myself using the bed step just because it's easier. The next thing is bed liner. Don't get it. It's super overpriced with Ford. They charge over $500 in some packages with the bed liner, and so you can get it cheaper aftermarket. I wouldn't recommend getting it. The carbon fiber on the interior in certain packages, again, I just like the look of it. I think it's worth it. It definitely makes the interior look a lot more upscale rather than having just like the nasty, just black trim there. I would recommend getting carbon fiber if you can just work out the option in your budget. And then blackout packages on the Lariat and XLT, again, I recommend those. I just think they look really nice, so those are packages to look out for. And then 360 camera, I definitely think that's a good one to go for if you're into safety. If you're not, just keep things simple and don't spend money on the safety tech. So let's get into the problems that I have heard so far on the trucks. The first is going to be with the EcoBoost engine, so the 3.5 high output and the 3.5 regular is the ones I'm going to focus on. Just like any turbocharged engine, maintenance costs are potentially going to be higher down the road. Just having to replace turbos can be quite expensive. There can be issues with just oil in the system. So just be aware that getting a turbocharged engine can be more costly. Other than that, the transmissions haven't seemed to cause too much in terms of issues. Sometimes the shifting can be a little bit violent when the truck needs to warm up, but once the truck warms up, transmission shifts really well. And again, I haven't really heard that many issues with it. From a suspension standpoint on the trucks, again, they don't do anything crazy. They don't use air suspension. They just use leaf springs in the trucks, and they might be going away from that in the new generation with the F-150s. But again, it's a solid setup, and as long as you don't overload the truck, you shouldn't have too many issues. In terms of the interior, because Ford uses quite a bit of hard touch plastics, the interior actually holds up pretty well, especially some of the leather that they use in it. That's, again, not the highest quality, but then it's more durable. So from an interior standpoint, all of it holds up pretty well. In terms of the electronics, they can be pretty slow in cold conditions, just like any other vehicle is, but I haven't heard any huge issues with it. So the F-150 just in general is relatively reliable. Just understand if you get one with the EcoBoost, you could potentially have some larger out-of-pocket costs at higher miles. Now I'm talking like 100,000, maybe over 100,000 miles is where things might start going a little bit south. And maybe that's time to look into like an extended warranty at that point. Now let's finish this off with talking about pricing on the F-150s. Now, obviously, if you get a work truck, I mean, they're in the $20,000 to $30,000 range. And if you go all the way up to a limited, you're over $70,000. Now, what I see trend-wise with most Ford dealers is the work trucks. They usually have a little bit of discount, not a ton. Sometimes they have some rebate programs from Ford on them. The XLT always seems to have some sort of rebate program on it. Same with the Lariat. Now, when you get up to the King Ranch and the Platinum, the dealerships will usually discount them. Sometimes they have rebates, but usually not a whole lot from Ford. The Limited almost never has rebates. It's pretty much only dealership discount. And in terms of how much dealerships actually discount the trucks, Ford seem to be able to just pull a premium in the market. And so expect the prices a lot of the times to be sometimes MSRP on certain trucks, but almost always above invoice. Ford's just able to make quite a bit of money on their trucks, and so feel free to negotiate, but don't expect to get a huge amount off. You can. I'm not saying you can't, guys, but just from what I've saw with my research, looking at how much trucks are going for in the market, they tend to be able to pull a premium. They basically just don't discount them, and it's because they believe in their product, I'm assuming, right? Now, that is my general buyer's guide on the Ford F-150 from 2018 to 2020, kind of a little bit from 2015 to 2020. And if you are going to be purchasing a truck that is older than 2018, I recommend get a 2017 if you can, because it has the 10-speed automatic. They didn't have it in the 15s or 16s, which the 6-speed is a good transmission, but the 10-speed just shifts smoother. You get a little bit better fuel economy. So I would recommend try to do 2017 or newer. Get a 10-speed automatic. You're not going to regret that decision. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the buyer's guide. Like I said, if you're stopping for the first time, please subscribe. Comment down below what you guys want me to do for my next buyer's guide, and I'll see all of you in that next video.